Hey everybody, welcome back to the E3 Shacknews 2019 live stream brought to you by HyperX. I am still your host, David L. Craddock, long reads editor at Shacknews.com. Still here at the E3 Esports Zone brought to you by SubNation. And I'm joined by a new special guest, Matthew from Behavior Interactive. How are you doing, Matthew?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much.
I would hope so, because you have some exciting news. You just recently announced Dead by Daylight for Switch and mobile, kind of this 1-2 punch.
Yeah, this game thrives on a big community, on more and more players getting their hands on the game. So for us, it was sort of a no-brainer to try to, spread it as wide as we could. The Switch took some work to do because obviously it's a very unique console, and we wanted to give it the attention and the respect it needed. And then the mobile version is coming just a little later, and it's also a big endeavor, but it's going to be amazing.
You know, I'd like to talk a little bit about how Behavior went about kind of scouting the Switch, because, after the Wii U, which had some great games, but hardware-wise, it just didn't move the numbers. And consumers like me found themselves in this catch-22 situation where we wanted to support the console, and maybe developers did, but until more consumers bought the console, they weren't going to invest in the software. Until they invested in the software, we wouldn't have any more games to buy.
Yeah.
So the Switch had that. What was the process of evaluating that platform and deciding to pull the trigger on Dead by Daylight?
I mean, I think that one of the big elements is that Nintendo has shown in the last few months, the last year, but the last few months especially, that they want to acknowledge that their player base is not just like the family-friendly, the kids. They are still very much a toy company. They're still the most wholesome gaming company
This
out
reputation
there.
that's been with them since the 80s, yes.
However, right now they are very, very serious about making sure that they provide content for their hardcore fans. They know that there's a lot of people out there who are like me and you, our age group, and
Right.
then we're hardcore gamers. We want games that will come and satiate that hunger for something intense and mature and really cool to play. So they've been very supportive. We couldn't have imagined 3 years ago when we launched being on a Nintendo platform,
Right.
because at the time
Nobody could, really.
we were making a game where you're a killer and you're trying to murder people. It's a bit of a step. There have been a few exceptions, but Nintendo was known for that. But now they're really embracing that, and they want to show that they have an amazing catalog filled with a lot of different products and a lot of things that are geared at more mature hardcore players.
And I think Behavior and Dead by Daylight are in a very unique position, because even now with the Nintendo eShop just putting out new titles, it feels like every day, maybe every hour, there are still a lot of genres there where nobody's kind of planted a flag in that soil. And one of them is the competitive asymmetric shooter.
Well, the asymmetrical games in general, there's not that many out there.
Right.
I think that there's still quite a lot of ground to break in that sphere. We've done something. We've done a few things right with it. I think there's still quite a lot to discover, like how these games can be made amazing and how it can be pushed in many different directions. What are the game mechanics that are really cool? Which ones are okay? We don't know yet. We've done something with Dead by Daylight that's not been done before. I think we've probably set the pace or set the bar for that type of game, and we're
Right.
very proud of that.
Right.
Others have tried. They haven't done as well. Some others have tried and done some things maybe better, and then we'll learn from that. And the game industry gets better the more developers try things. We need to continue to be bold and try things that haven't been done before. Obviously, there's always going to be people who are going to make amazing sequels on things that are known quantities,
Right.
and I'll play them for
Right,
sure.
for sure.
But it's important that we keep being bold and trying things that haven't been done yet.
I think with that boldness, do you think you have to temper that a bit and not just kind of jump in headfirst to a new platform without considering how to help acclimate the property to that platform? For example, speaking to the Nintendo Switch, a lot of people play in handheld mode, whereas I, kind of a traditional console player, I still play docked. In the case of Dead by Daylight, do you look at, okay, we have this control scheme. This isn't a matter of just changing button prompts. Is this comfortable, and does it work in docked mode? Does it work when I'm kind of in bed in portable mode?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's one of the reasons why the Switch didn't come out at the same time as PS4 and Xbox One.
Right.
Because it's not the same console. It is very, very different. It's not a mobile. It's not a handheld. It's not a console. It's all of these things, and it's none of these things. It's its own thing. So we wanted to make sure that we gave it the attention. We put the work in. Fortunately, I mean, Behavior is a company that does a lot of work for hire. We do a lot of games for other people. We do a lot of ports, and so we had an expertise in-house on how to port games to the Switch, how to use the Switch correctly, how to, leverage the hardware that they have to get the most out of it. So that was great, and we already had a working relationship with Nintendo, which is always an amazing boon in these situations because they know how to do the software properly.
They do, and they've really done a great job lately of lately being the past several years of really kind of throwing the doors open to indie developers and being so accommodating and helpful, making sure that they get those games out there.
Yeah, but that's that's not always been the case for Nintendo because it used to be
very recent.
Like and I mean, I'm a huge Nintendo fan. Don't get me
Yes,
wrong.
yes.
And I bought pretty much every single console they've ever made. And usually, you'd buy a console, and then you'd get the Mario, you'd get the Mario
Those
Kart,
first-party
you'd get the
games,
Zelda,
you check the same
and you're
boxes.
done.
Yeah.
They could release even today. They'd release a console with just a Switch where I could go Zelda, Mario Kart. I'd buy that.
Right.
Like it's
Same.
enough. It's magical. It's well done. You know it's going to be quality.
Right.
But now they are much more outgoing, and they're much more open to getting developers involved, and not just like a few of the bigger or their oldest partners. It's really they've made it fun for us to work with them, and it's absolutely amazing. It's a dream come true. Just today, like being in the Nintendo booth and being part of that experience, it's a great big moment of pride.
And I have to imagine that's something you look for as head of partnerships at Behavior, right? Because that's something we talked about on a project we worked together on recently where, you bought back the publishing rights to Dead by Daylight, and so you, as the kind of purveyors and curators of your own IP, you want to make sure that you go into business with the right partners.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't know before you start. It's
Right.
like any relationship,
Sure.
We've been lucky, I guess. Most people we deal with, whether it's for licensing, whether it's for the first parties that we work with, it's been amazing. There's examples everywhere. Just like working with Valve, which were our main partner for a while there. We were able to add Bill from Left 4 Dead into the game and some outfits from the game. For us, it was a huge deal, especially at the beginning. We were just this small little project, and it was a big, like a pat on the back, and it made us legit to have this. And they were happy putting it there for free, just so that everybody could get their hands on Bill. And it was amazing to work with them on that. And there's many examples of different partnerships that we've had through the years now on that have been, at least for me, an amazing experience of how we can. We are developing what Behavior stands for in a certain sense, and how we present ourselves to our players, to our community, and to our partners. And that's part of it. We're very forward. We're also very transparent about how we work and how we want to do things, and it's paid off.
Well, let's talk a little bit about bringing the game to mobile platforms, because I imagine that presented a unique set of challenges, because at least with the Switch, it was an unknown quantity for a while, but you had familiar tactile input modalities to work with there, whereas we've all played a lot of mobile ports of games where there's just icons all over the screen, and you can barely see what you're doing because your thumbs are kind of all, you're playing a little bit of Twister there. So what was that experience like?
So we were aware that this was going to hit us in the face. I mean, the game is filled with icons, and some of the menus, it's very busy.
Sure.
And also, it's a game that you almost cannot play without your headphones on. And we know that on mobile, few people play with their headphones on.
Right.
I mean, you're on the subway or you're anywhere, you're walking down the street and you're playing. So we needed to accommodate that. So it forced us to go back and reevaluate why we put the information that we give you in the game. So if you need to be aware of the proximity of the killer, whether it's a sound or whether it's a visual cue, what's the distance, what's the precision of it, and then we found new ways to give you the exact same information. So if you grab the mobile game right now and you're used to Dead by Daylight, you will not be lost. You will get the exact same information in different forms. So you'll get icons on the screen, you'll get prompts here and there, and even some elements of the control. For instance, we added a look back button. So it's just a tap and you can see what's behind you, because it's impossible to get that sort of coordination of the double dual stick that you get on a controller, or even the mouse and keyboard on a mobile. But you need to be able to check what's behind you. It's part of what makes the game good. It's part of the stress. It's part of the intensity. So we added these little tweaks, but it's exactly the same game. The core experience, I think that maybe that's one of the things, is we spend so much time at the beginning of the project chipping away at everything that's secondary to the game to make sure that we focused on what the game is about and why it is unique and why it is special and why it works, that it was easier for us down the line to slightly tweak all these secondary things without having to change in any way what the core experience is.
Excellent. Well, when will players be able to get their hands on the Switch and the mobile versions of Dead by Daylight?
So the Switch is going to be out on September the 24th. As far as mobile, you'll have to wait a little bit. We're going to do a big announcement in the next few weeks. We're going to give the information to everybody. Yeah, that's it.
Excellent. Well, you got to wait and take time to make sure the experience is just right.
That's it, yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Matthew. We're out
Always
of time.
a pleasure.
Yes, it is always a pleasure. I always look forward to our conversations. Everyone, I am still your host, Shacknews Long Reads editor, David L. Craddock. If you like the content you just saw here, go to shacknews.com. Check out our Mercury subscription service. It starts for as low as $1 a month. And when you subscribe, you get access to all sorts of perks like free EPUB versions of a long read, such as our most recent one, Survivor Kill, which is the story of how Behavior Interactive rebooted Death Guard, another fantastic asymmetric competitive shooter.
Great read, I have to say.
Great. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to work on it with you. And for more live interviews here from the E3 show floor, stay tuned.